You walk into a bank with $100. You hand it to the cashier. The bank smiles, takes your money, and gives you a little receipt or updates your app. You think, cool, my $100 is safe in a big shiny vault waiting for me. But here's the shocking part. The bank doesn't just lock away your money, they turn it into more money, way more than what you gave them. That $100 could become $900, $1,000, or even $2,000 inside the system. Not because they printed more cash, but because they used a trick that almost feels like magic. Today, we're going to break down this secret step by step. How banks create money from nothing, why this system works, and why it sometimes breaks, and what this means for all of us who trust banks every single day. So grab a seat. This is a money story you'll never forget. Chapter 1. What is money, really? Before we talk banks, let's talk money. When you think of money, you probably imagine paper bills or shiny coins. But here's the truth. Most of the world's money isn't even physical. In fact, around 90% of money today is digital. It exists as numbers on a screen. When you check your banking app and it says you have $500, there isn't a stack of bills with your name on it sitting in a vault. It's just an entry in a computer system. So from the very beginning, money is already half imagination. It's trust written in numbers, and banks know how to stretch that imagination even further. Chapter 2. What we think banks do. If you ask a kid, or honestly, even most adults, they'll tell you this. You put $100 in the bank. The bank locks it up safely. Later, you come back and take out the same $100. It sounds simple and safe. The bank is just a big storage box, right? Wrong. Banks aren't storage lockers. They're more like money factories. They take the money you give them and use it to make even more money. Chapter 3. The pizza analogy. Let's make this fun. Imagine you walk into a pizza shop with one big pizza. You give it to the chef to keep safe. But instead of saving your pizza for later, the chef takes one slice for emergencies and then shares the rest of the pizza with other hungry people. Those people then trade slices with others, and suddenly it feels like there are pizzas everywhere. That's how banks work. They keep one slice of your money and they lend the rest out, multiplying it as it moves around. Chapter 4. The lending trick. Here's the real process. You deposit $100 into a bank. The bank doesn't keep the whole $100. They keep a small part, let's say $10, just in case you want some back tomorrow. This small part is called the reserve. Then they take the other $90 and lend it to someone else. That person uses the $90 to buy, say, a bicycle. The bike shop owner takes the $90 and deposits it into their own bank account. Now that $90 becomes someone else's deposit. And guess what? That bank also keeps a fraction, maybe $9, and lends out the rest, $81. The $81 gets spent, deposited, and lent again. So from your single $100 deposit, the system suddenly has your $100 deposit plus $90 loan plus $81 loan plus $72 loan, and on and on. It multiplies like rabbits. Chapter 5. Fractional reserve banking. This system has a fancy name, fractional reserve banking. It simply means banks only keep a small fraction of your deposit as backup. The rest is lent out, recycled, and multiplied. It's like turning a single seed into a whole field of plants. This is how banks create new money, not by printing, but by lending. Chapter 6. But wait, isn't that fake? Now you might be thinking, if money is multiplying like this, isn't it just fake? Not exactly. Because behind every loan is a promise. When someone borrows $90, they promise to pay it back with interest. So what the bank creates isn't fake money. It's credit money that exists as long as people believe in it. It's like a giant trust game. As long as everyone keeps their promises, the money is real enough to use. Chapter 7. The risk of collapse. But here's the problem. What if too many people run to the bank and say, give me my money back right now? The bank doesn't actually have it all. Remember, they lent most of it out. This is called a bank run. It happened in the Great Depression in the 1932nd. Crowds of people rushed to banks demanding cash, but the banks didn't have enough. Many collapsed. More recently, in 2023, some banks failed for the same reason. Trust broke, people panicked, and the system cracked. So, the money system works, but only if people don't all ask for their cash at the same time. Chapter 8. Why governments allow this? Now you might wonder, why would governments allow such a risky system? The answer is simple: growth. If banks only stored money, the economy would move like a slow bicycle. Businesses wouldn't get loans. Students couldn't borrow for school. Families couldn't buy houses. But when banks lend and create money, it's like giving the economy a car engine instead of a bicycle. Things move faster. So yes, it's risky. But it also powers the modern world. Chapter 9. The digital twist. Back in the old days, banks used ledgers, big paper books where clerks wrote numbers. Today, it's all digital. When you borrow money for a car, the bank doesn't hand you a bag of cash. They just type numbers into your account. You spend it, the seller deposits it, and the cycle repeats. So most money today isn't even paper. It's just digits typed into a computer. Chapter 10. A simple story. Let's follow three friends, Sarah, Mike, and Emma. Sarah deposits $100 into her bank. The bank keeps $10, lends $90 to Mike. Mike buys a bike for $90. The bike shop owner deposits that $90. That bank keeps $9, lends $81 to Emma. Emma buys a laptop. The laptop seller deposits $81. Now look what happened. Sarah thinks she has $100. The bike shop has $90. The laptop seller has $81. In total, the system shows $271, even though there was only $100 at the start. That's the magic of fractional reserve banking. Chapter 11. Crashes and crises. But magic can turn into disaster. When banks lend recklessly, people can't pay back their loans. This happened in 2008. Banks gave risky loans for houses loans people couldn't afford. When people defaulted, the whole chain of money collapsed. It was like a domino effect. One promise broke, then another, then the entire global financial system shook. That's the dark side of money created from thin air. Chapter 12. Who really creates money? Most people think governments or central banks make money. But here's the shocking truth. Commercial banks create most of the money we use. Central banks like the Federal Reserve print physical currency. But commercial banks create digital money every time they approve a loan. So when you get a loan for college or a house, you're literally watching money being born. Chapter 13. A candy example. Imagine you give a kid one candy. They bite it in half and give half to another kid. That kid bites their half again and shares it. Soon, 10 kids are eating candy, all from your single original candy. That's how banks stretch money. They share and reshare pieces until it feels like there's way more candy than before. Chapter 14. The philosophy. So, what does this all mean? It means money isn't as solid as we think. It's not just paper or coins. It's a system of trust. And it means banks have enormous power. With just a few keystrokes, they can grow the economy. Or, if they mess up, crash it. The shocking truth is, money is less about metal and paper and more about belief and promises. Final recap. Let's tie it all together. Banks don't just store your money. They keep a fraction and lend the rest. Those loans get deposited again, creating more money. This process is called fractional reserve banking. It works because people trust the system. But if trust breaks, the whole thing can collapse. So yes, banks do create money out of thin air. Not by printing, but by lending, promising, and repeating the cycle. Next time you check your bank balance, remember, it's not just numbers. It's your share of a giant trust game we're all playing together.